I'm coming from Istanbul, and I'm working as a business analyst at Todos Turkey.
And my name is Nazli Ceren Yildirim, and as you can see, my name is very long, so if you are ever to tell me anything, you can just call me Naz, it's easier. I'm an experienced designer working at Artworks Istanbul. By the way, we are really sorry that we had to postpone our speech to today. You know that it was actually yesterday, but we had some flight problems and suitcases getting lost and stuff, so we had to deal with them yesterday during the entire day.
Today, Nazli and I will talk about user-centered way of doing analysis and design at Agile practices. And in the next 40 minutes and so, we will talk about the way of doing, talk about the process we use at ThoughtWorks on a daily basis. But before starting, I would like to walk you through on our agenda. Firstly, we will talk about some design-related definitions. Then we will talk about the roles and role definitions, how they fit in Agile and how they collaborate and which tools they use. Then we will try to answer the question why. So, what's the thing that's called user experience, Nazli?
Experience design or user experience are things that people talk about all the time, and you might think that they actually know what they are talking about, but experience shows that they actually don't most of the time. Experience design is designing products, services, environments, engagements, interactions, events, journeys, having the user in your focus, and you should also consider cultural relevance as well. And here, cultural relevance is really important because that has a huge impact on why people choose certain things, why they like some things, and why they hate certain things as well. And when it comes to user experience, there is a definition there, but I want to talk about first what it is not. Designing a website or an app is definitely not being a user experience designer. It's not enough to be a user experience designer because for user experience design, you need to know that you are actually designing a system which is a part of an ecosystem. And if you are not aware of this ecosystem situation, you are just designing another app or another website that should be integrated with other things, but it is not. So it's one of those other thousands of applications that don't connect with each other, that don't talk to each other. We have so many of them on our phones. We use them for a week or so, and then we realize that they don't actually do much, so we stop using them. Another thing that I'm going to talk about is user-centered design. Since I'm a user experience designer, of course, I'm using user-centered design approaches to do so. User-centered design is understanding what your user wants, why they want certain things, and what might change if those needs were to met, and what they would change in the products and services that you are designing, you are offering to them. And we use this approach, of course, on a daily basis in our design practice. This subject is my favorite among all. Design thinking is really important for all of us, not only for designers, but for non-designers as well. If you are solving any type of problem, this is one tool that you should be having in your toolkit, because it shows you how to tackle wicked real-world problems. And the reason why UX design can be fit in an agile environment is it's because we are using design thinking, because you're going to see that it's really similar to agile in terms of process. It's iterative, it's highly collaborative, it's highly empathic, so you get to know your user very well. Also, it's easily adaptable and scalable. This is the process of design thinking. We start with empathizing with our user. We run certain activities to do so. And here we try to know what they need and what they want so that we can create real solutions for their problems. In the second phase, we get into the define phase, and we start analyzing the data and the insights that we collect from our, I don't want to say test subjects, but interviewees, let's say, that we observed and interviewed in the first phase, and we collect certain things like our users, their needs, the insights, and all of the exercises and everything that we collected, the findings that we collected in the first phase. And we run certain activities there as well. We start creating patterns. We generally we always create the empathy map in the first phase, but we analyze it further in the second phase, and we also start creating our initial journey maps. In the third phase, which is the ideation phase, we start exploring possible solutions for the problems, and we start early sketches. We start having design collaboration studios with the entire team, not only the XTs, but also the developers, QAs, BAs, everyone PO. And in the prototype phase, we have the low fidelity wireframes for certain reasons, and we have the high fidelity for other reasons. We start preparing the high fidelity for testing purposes. And in the test phase, we choose the test users that exactly match our personas and our target segments, user segments. And what we do is we try to gather feedback from them in terms of if we are doing the right thing or if we are going the wrong path, so that based on those findings, we refine our design work, and then we do everything all over again to refine the design. And in every single iteration, we do the same thing. And in this section, we will try to give you a glimpse of how we work together at every single project.
I would like to start with the definitions at Waterfall. At Waterfall projects, actually there is no collaboration between XD and the UX. Even they don't even exist in a project together. In Waterfall, experienced designers, it's thought that experienced designers are not capable of analyzing requirements or considering business issues, and business analysts are believed that not be capable of conducting research, empathizing with end users, or designing. You see, these activities are not even in the definition of their roles. In a typical waterfall project, the project starts with an analyzing phase, which is very long, like months. And at that phase, BS works with the business teams, which are mainly from finance, sales, or marketing teams. And the BS do not know anything about end users. And because their main responsibility is gathering business requirements, analyzing them, and then documenting them. After analyzing phase, implementation and testing phase follows, and they are also continue for months. And after that, only you can launch your product to the production environment, and you will. And now. This is time when you encountered with your end users. Now you should wait for the. Now fingers crossed. You should wait for the results again for a few months, and if you are lucky, the end users will love your product. But if you are not lucky, and if your end users don't prefer to use your product, or it doesn't meet their needs, it means that you have spent your months for nothing, and your work is practically garbage. I think that's why currently is in the middle of everything.
Here you see QB's user experience model, and as you can see, UX is in the middle of everything. And here we can say that UX is not only a role, but it's also a part of your corporate culture as well. In terms of this, it's really similar to DevOps.
Sorry.
It's really similar to DevOps, my ear. And here you can see that in order to have a great user experience, in order to create a great user experience, you need to come up with a very solid content strategy. And that's not enough. You need to be identifying your user goals and business goals very well as well. And then on top of all of these, you should be creating really meaningful and easy-to-use interactions. So in an environment, in a very fast-paced environment as Agile, user experience designers cannot do all of those because we will fall behind. So here we need someone who should be helping us. We need a partner. And right at this point, related to business goals, this is where the BAs come to the scene.
And I would like to talk about the business goals part of the spectrum. If you look at the right side of the model, you will see the potential activities to gain the business goals, which are mainly stakeholder interviews, business research, discovery workshop, requirement gathering, and competitive analysis. And yes, these are the main responsibilities of BA in a user-centered design methodology. And what has changed in Agile? I think the main description of the roles really different from waterfall. In Agile, it says experienced designers should analyze requirements and consider business issues, and also business analysts should conduct research, empathize with end users, and they join design studios. If you remember, I told my bad memories, bad waterfall memories, like having long project life cycles and having no end user contact until product launch. Thankfully, in Agile environment, we are working together with an XT, and our development cycle is iterative. So in every iteration, we create value and verify that value by user acceptance testing and the usability testing also. I think BA Buck has realized this change and has updated their definition of BA at their latest guide. According to second version of the guide, firstly I would like to talk about BA Buck. BA Buck stands for Business Analysis Body of Knowledge, and BA Buck guide is a standard for the practices of business analysis. At the second version, they define the business analysis as the set of tasks and techniques used to work as a liaison among stakeholders in order to understand the structure, policies, and operations of an organization, and to recommend solutions that enable the organization to achieve the goals. Yeah, it was long. You see, there's nothing about value, there's nothing about change or customer. And the latest version was published last year. The second version was published 2009. I forgot to mention, sorry. The latest version published last year at 2015, and they changed the main parts of the definition of BA. Now, BAs should enable change in an enterprise instead of just being a liaison between stakeholders. And they should recommend solutions that deliver value to stakeholders instead of trying to achieve organizational goals. Yeah, you see, BAs are not the passive requirement gathering roles anymore. They are playing important role at organizational change and the gathering value for customers. And now we will talk about how we are dependent on each other and how the roles are intertwined. Yes, our roles are very similar and overlaps a lot of very regularly, but this provides us learning opportunities on both sides. So that makes our teams, we are working together, we co-facilitate a lot of things, and this provides our team having a more effective and efficient team working. These are main responsibilities of XT and the BA. For example, user requirements, personas, user journeys, interaction design, and etc. for XT, and the business plan, product roadmap, use cases and scenarios, and so on for the BA. But if we are working at an agile environment, these roles start overlapping. Yes, we co-facilitate many activities, and some activities depend on the results of the previous ones. For example, XT needs the results of the roles and goals activity, which is facilitated by a BA, in order to create a well-defined proto-persona. And also, BA needs personas, user journeys, and well-defined features to create use cases and scenarios. BAs are the voice of the, to sum up, BAs are the voices of the business, and XTs bring multiple perspectives together to form a cohesive view. And we believe that in order to be successful, these both roles should be involved in all stages of the projects. Nazli, could you talk about the project lifecycle at ThoughtWorks?
I will, but first I'm going to talk about something else. I'm going to start with Lean UX. In addition to design thinking, that's what makes our work more fit into Agile. Lean UX actually invites the entire team into the design process. Like I said, we are holding open design studios where we invite the entire team, including the PO and the client. The purpose here is to gather all the insights and the knowledge, especially the domain knowledge from the client. And also, when I start designing, I don't want to design something without talking to developers and then hand something to them and hear that, no, we cannot do this within the estimated time limit. So what I'm doing is I invite the BA to the design session and we draw all together so that we make the main design decisions all together. Then I work on more on the usability and practicality and the aesthetics of the design. Here the QA, here's what we are doing as well. So he defines the most problematic areas that might screw us at the end. And this way, we don't need any heavy documentation. We don't have to do very serious handovers, because this way we create a shared understanding, a shared vision in terms of what we are doing when it comes to design and what our product will be doing. This is our Inception phase, and the alien guy, it's me, and the little Thor is my friend. So what we are doing in Inception is that it's mainly the discovery phase, and the XTs start with stakeholder and initial user research, and we also learn the client processes, what they do, when they do them, why they do them, while BAs start with business requirements, roles, and goals. And we help each other during these two, and at the end of this phase, we come up with project vision and strategy, feature list, and prioritization, which results in MVP definition and process flows for each of us. And then these two activities result in epic sense stories, user journeys, scenarios, and feature maps. After that, XCs start working on the prototype planning, initial prototype of key features, while BAs work on the release planning, and then at the end we have the iteration planning. Iteration 0 is where we start working ahead of everyone else while they work on infrastructure and dependencies and everything else. We start analyzing the stories so that we can be 1 or 2 iterations ahead all the time. I start working on the user research, and I start creating the design hypothesis, which I will be validating every single iteration. Both of us start working on in-depth story analysis, acceptance criteria, and detailed use cases. And she starts working on dependencies, cross-functional requirements, and system integration. And the whole iteration goes as logos, branding, information architecture, taxonomy, content strategy, UX copy, and so on, wireframes, UX artifact wall, interactions, user interface, prototype, starting the style guide. Most important part, desk checks with developers and QA so then they don't scream at us. And BAs work on constraints, laws and regulations that affect the client's business. And they start with the story mapping, iteration board, narrative, user stories, again desk check, and the entire team. Oh, also I do the testing, revisions, and updating the UX artifact wall and style guide, and the entire team finishes with a showcase for the client and also the team retro. This is just any iteration within the process. It starts exactly the same way, and it goes the same way as well, except for the team kickoff. Since we go 1 or 2 iterations ahead from the rest of the team, at the beginning of every iteration, we have the team kickoff so that, again, everyone knows in detail what everyone is doing. And now we're going to see what an iteration timeline looks like.
Sorry. Iteration length may change depending on your product dynamics, but we picked the most common one, 2 weeks, as a sample. Every iteration starts with a collaborative sketching and ideation workshop, which is facilitated by XT and BA together. The main aim of this workshop is gathering, having common perspective about the product before every iteration. And the iteration planning meeting follows this workshop, which is facilitated by BA with the help of XT. At this meeting, whole team discusses and they agrees on the coming stories for the next iteration, and they decide on the iteration plan. At each week, we do some testing. XT has user testing, and the BA need to do user acceptance testing of the completed stories. And during all iterations, XT keep doing user research, hypothesis validation, and wireframes while we are together working on story writing and acceptance criteria. And we would like to talk about some tools that we found very beneficial at our projects. First one is business model canvas. And it's a strategic management and the lean startup template for creating, defining new business models or just documenting the existing ones. It's a visual chart with elements describing customers, finances, value proposition, and the infrastructure of your product. It has 2 building blocks, which are namely customers, value proposition, channels, customer relationships, revenue, key activities, key resources, key partnerships, and costs. I think it looks like it's designed upon the structure of brain. The right side is mostly focused on the emotional and creative things, whereas the left side is focusing on the mostly analytical or logical things. The second tool is value proposition canvas. It is a plug of business model canvas, as you see. It focuses into the 2 building blocks of business model canvas, which are namely value proposition and customer segment. With customer segment, you can define, with customer profile, you will understand your customer better. And with the other one, value proposition side, you will define what will you create for your customer to create a value for them.
And another tool that we really like is user journey maps. And it's not that we only like them, but they're also very useful. What we do here, we have a user journey map for every single epic so that we can divide and break them into smaller and more meaningful chunks, which are our stories. And what we do here, we have stages for every single interaction where the user uses our product, and what we are trying to do is identifying the touch points of every interaction, then drafting what they will be thinking, doing, feeling while they interact with every single stage. If we add guiding principles to our user journey and approach strategy and opportunities, then it becomes an experience map which will guide us through a successful destination during the entire project.
Up to now, we talk about the definitions, roles, and the tools. And now we will focus on the question why. Why should you change your way of thinking and working? We will try to answer this question. My first reason is user-centered design helps you to focusing on outcomes over outputs. Firstly, I would like to give the definitions of these two words. Outputs is the products and services that you create. Outcomes is the problem that you solve with that product. At user-centered methodologies, you should focus on outcomes in order to measure the value that you create for your customers. And one of the biggest traps in product development life cycles is focusing on outputs over outcomes. It means that, firstly, you are deciding what to build before clearly understanding its purpose. As Jacob Nielsen said, a wonderful interface to the wrong features will fail. So if you build a perfect thing, it will fail if you don't have a purpose or if you don't think about the outcomes. And I would like to show you the results of the Oracle Global Research, which is published at 2013. And according to this research, 74% of senior business executives stated that customer experience impacts willingness to be loyal, and nearly all of these executives agrees that great customer experience is critical to business advantage and results. And also they think that if you have poor customer experience, you will lose your 20% of your revenue. So, if you look at the top chart, we understand that user experience is very important to make your customers loyal to your company, and it seems that executives are aware of this important issue. But if you look at the chart at the below, executives indicate that customers will switch brands due to poor customer experience. Only 49% of them says that. But if you ask the same question to the customers, to real customers, they answer this. They say that they actually they're 89% of 89% of customers say that they actually have switched already the brands due to poor customer experience. So to sum up, it's obvious that executives aware the importance of the customer experience for their companies, but they still underestimate the impact of user experience in behavior.
Another reason why you should be careful about user experience is that what we know so far is actually changing, because there is a generation called Generation Z that has very little attention span, and this situation brings new cultural and design requirements as well as technical and technological requirements. They are digital natives. They mostly like mobile. They prefer easy-to-consume media, so they would prefer YouTube over Facebook. They don't like sending emails. They like texting. So they want to see quick results. They like e-commerce, and they like it more on mobile. They have multiple online personas. They choose experience over privacy, so you need to be able to offer them something new. They really value experience. And the easiest way to do so is use an ambient UX and the new generation interactions, because since they value experience so much, especially ambient UX creates great value for your product if your product is somehow related to anything that can be sold this way. Another thing to consider is the service design and product design are two things that are changing and evolving very rapidly. Especially service design had different stages so far. Until 1960s, we were just creating products and the clients were coming to the store and they were buying and going home. So that was the only customer experience or the brand exchange other than the interaction with the product itself. In the second stage, what happened is we invented something that was called delivery. And until 90s, that's what we only used. They were not only coming to the store, but we were sending the product to them. In the third stage, we had omnipresence. We were not only delivering, or they were not only coming to the store, but we had different ways as well. For example, online sales, e-commerce, or selling through brochures, and so on. And in the fourth stage, we actually started forecasting and creating demand or understanding where demand could be, and we started providing or sending our products where people could ask for them. And for the product design, it's always changing based on the new notions of ergonomics and the advances and technology, because they change the interactions that we use. Also, as I've mentioned like so many times, changing cultural norms, they are changing the motivations, user behaviors, and why we choose and why we like things. Also, our new users are really aware of social impact and ecological impact as well. So we try to create, for example, low carbon print, or we try to be just to our workers, employees. We don't try to be, for example, like Apple and create products in China in terrible conditions, because our new users really read and they consume media, so they are aware of this. So if we decided to integrate UX into our organization, what should we be doing? This is a very small list. Of course, there's a lot of things to do, but after you come up with a solid UX strategy and made it known by people and shared your vision and understanding with everyone, the first thing to do and the easiest thing to do is creating evangelists who will defend your cause as strong as you can and who will improve it as well, who will build on it. And you need to make user experience a part of your business and corporate culture, because it should be a part of your mission, vision, and values. And it's good to have everyone on board that they would walk on the same path with you. And it also creates a sense of ownership as well, so that you ensure higher quality products and services. I don't know if you guys read Simon Sinek, but he has this saying that is really famous. He says, people don't buy what you build, but they buy why you build it. So we are trying to make people use our products, and we want them to want to use our products and services. So the most organic and natural way is to really create something that they actually want, instead of creating something and then trying to make them buy it, trying to show it nice and fancy. So this way is a lot easier. And how we create our products at ThoughtWorks. It became an advertising here, but how we create our projects and products at ThoughtWorks is through collaboration, and this lets us to spare a lot of time to our users. This way we understand what they really want and how we can solve their real problems instead of creating luxury for them. We are trying to solve real-world problems. And I really think that good UX and good service design is a teamwork, and everyone should be understanding how important it is, how important teamwork is. So we are on the same boat together, and we are really happy to be working together. And we are also really happy that you are here to hear our talk. That's the end of it. So here are contact info. Also, if you can leave feedback there. I guess this is the right link, I hope. Okay, so thank you.
Do you have any questions? But fast, okay. We don't have much time.
Oh, also, in case anyone is interested in the Barcelona office, we are hiring.
Thank you, first of all. My question is regarding the number of BAs versus the number of XDs.
In one team or at the office, or?
Specifically the office, and then translated to other companies, because actually we have like a much smaller UX team and a lot of BAs. So we're experiencing issues there. So what's your ideas on this?
What we're doing is having the same number of XDs and BAs, if possible, at every single project, because we try to have all of the roles at every single project. So it's really important to have an equal number of them, especially since they are collaborating.
Yeah.
If there's no BA, I cannot collaborate with everybody.
Any more questions?
Hi, thank you for your presentation.
Thanks.
One question. When you talk about the Inception and iteration 0, how many times or how long,
Will it take?
in average, can you see that
the iterations are how long, or the project?
Inception 0 and Inception?
Oh, Inception. Okay.
Yeah, I think it depends on the your project, but I think about two weeks to 4 weeks time. Yeah, it depends on your project. Yeah. Yeah,
it depends on the client and on the project.
Yeah, it depends on the client and the project. If it's complicated, it needs to be long. Okay.
Yeah. That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.